I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is former Nebraska Senator Bob Kerrey. Senator, thank you so much for joining me once again.
You're welcome. Nice to be with you.
It's nice to be with you, especially right now because there was big news out of Nebraska. There was a push to change the Electoral College votes to a winner-take-all format. That eventually did fail. What are your thoughts on it failing?
Well, I think Mike McDonald, who was the person standing in the door, he was willing to vote no on it. And by the way, he had switched parties because the chair of the Democratic Party basically drove him out of the party. She didn't like his views on, I think it was on abortion. Anyway, so he had lots of reasons to vote yes, except he thought it was the wrong vote, and he stuck with no. And the big background. I'm sure you've seen this in the country. There genuinely is a rural-urban split. People in rural America think they're not being well represented, and in some cases, like in Nebraska, people in the urban area, primarily Omaha, think they're not being well represented. And if he'd have cast the vote yes and gone winner take all those people in Omaha in a presidential election, well, they wouldn't matter because they get overwhelmed with the vote coming in from rural Nebraska. So I think it increases the chances in the state legislature that rural and urban senators are going to more likely work together than if it had gone winner take all.
I want to tell people how exactly it works in Nebraska because only two states, Nebraska and Maine, do the electoral votes this way. So in Nebraska, there are 5 electoral votes. 2 votes go to the popular vote, and 1 is awarded to the winner in each congressional district. You think it's more fair to do it this split way. Do you think every state should follow Nebraska's lead?
No.
Why not?
Well, I don't know. I don't know every state. The only state I know really well is Nebraska, and there's a big. What's happening in Nebraska is the population is moving into I think 3 or 4 cities. Omaha's growing, Lincoln's growing, Bellevue is growing, and they're all in that urban concentration in eastern part of the state. And the rural population, as a fraction of the total population, is in decline. So if you, at the moment that's occurring, if you basically say to rural area, we're gonna basically take all your votes, put them all together. And we're going to take power away from Omaha. It may feel good at the time, but it's not a good idea because you'll pay for it in the end. Because on their own, there's this movement to help Joe Biden win that district. It's all come from the grassroots up because the blue dot they're calling it. You don't know what, and they're putting signs up. They don't put Biden's name up. They just put Harris's name up. It's just blue dot. So that would be taken away from them. And when you take power away from people, they tend to get angry. So I think rural Nebraska would have paid a price for that. They would have had a harder time with school aid distribution and other things that's based upon a formula that's determined at the state level. So I think it may not feel on the surface as a political thing that the rural part of the state was benefited, but in long term they will benefit from this.
Obviously, Democrats wanted to keep it this way because that would potentially give Harris the chance to win 1 electoral vote in Nebraska. How do rural Nebraskans feel? Do they like this unorthodox system of the Electoral College votes?
I don't know. They probably hadn't focused on it much until just now because everybody knew what it was. I should say everybody who pays attention to the details of voting. Which is probably 30% that really know what's going on that way. But at a minimum, people are going to be paying attention to Nebraska more than they would have been otherwise, and that's going to be good for the state.